All right, we are live. Good morning. It is Mother's Day, May 10th. I'm doing a little shout out here to my mom this morning. This was actually a picture of my mom and dad on our wedding day almost 20 years ago. This is our 20th anniversary year.
Because they have the same anniversary that we do.
My mom and dad share the same anniversary that we do. That's something that's kind of unique that we can both celebrate that together. They're just about 28 years ahead of us. So, but this morning, we decided to try something different, teens, and I tried to get a bunch of the leaders to jump in on this idea that my wife had. It was her idea, my idea with the questions we're going to be talking about and discussing, her idea with making it a Zoom meeting and then trying to put that on YouTube. But the other ones had other things going on. It is Mother's Day weekend, so some of them are spending time with their moms today. So just kind of a little update on how things going. You know, the latest news isn't so great as far as doing in-person services. I saw some teens today, Serenity and Ava and Malia. I delivered some food today, and they were all asking, when are we coming back to church? And it was a lot of I don't know, unfortunately, but we'll be doing these for a while until we can come back to church, and hopefully that's sooner rather than later. But today we're going to do this Mother's Day lesson. It is the face only a mother can love. No, we're not going to talk about that. Harry smiled real big for that one. But
what are you implying?
I'm just implying that he smiled real big when I said that. That's all. So big yeah. So we're actually talking about the importance and the value of mothers. And there's many types of moms and many mothers in the Bible. I just kind of threw a few together just to kind of think about moms in the Bible. Are you ready for this? Eve was the first mom in the Bible, and she had to deal with one child that killed the other. So that's pretty devastating. When it comes to parenting, you could look at that and say she didn't raise them right, but you know, sometimes moms think it's out of their hands when it comes to certain matters. So, you know, moms in the Bible don't always have a good track record. Rebecca was an interesting mother. She's the mother of Esau and Jacob. And the thing that I kind of know about Rebecca is that she's really kind of the first mom that we see that's kind of playing favorites, where she favors Jacob and Isaac favors Esau. And that didn't turn out so well for them and their relationship moving forward. There was a little bit of a feud there between Jacob and Esau for many, many years. A really good example of a mother, a really good example of a mother is Hannah. And Hannah was the one that couldn't have a child for a long time, and she desperately wanted one. And she prayed for God to bless her with a son. And her promise to God was that if he did give her a son, that she would give her son back. And so she had Samuel, and Samuel became one of the great prophets of the children of Israel, of the Jewish people. And then, of course, everybody thinks about Mary. Mary's the perfect mom, right? Well, it might not help her too bad that she had the perfect son in being the perfect mom. So,
but she had other kids who probably weren't so perfect.
And they did leave Jesus.
They did
leave him. Remember, he went to the synagogue and they left him.
Right.
Well, he was 12 and he probably had siblings by that time, and they were like, yeah, he's with us. Let's go.
You don't usually worry about the oldest one, right? You're always worried about the baby. Where's the baby? Where's the baby? And then they left him behind. So there's no perfect moms, just like there's no perfect kids. And so we all have work to do. So this lesson is really about looking to God's word, seeing what it has to say for you guys, you teenagers. And we wanted to share some questions amongst us leaders to kind of share some of our experiences, either from our, what we've been handed down from our moms, as well as experience as moms with Sherry and Nicole being here. So we looked at God's word, and one of the things that all of us have heard, you've heard this verse in the Bible, whether or not you knew it was this reference. I think every kid has heard Exodus 20:12, honor thy father and thy mother, that thy days may be long upon the land which the Lord thy God giveth thee. You might not have heard that last part, but everybody knows the Bible says, honor your father and mother. And it actually goes on to say that your days may be long upon the earth, the land. And so kind of translation there for you is that a long and healthy life is the byproduct of a good relationship with your parents. You know, I mean, this is especially true in the Old Testament, where if a kid was rebellious, they could have stoned them, you know? So be obedient to your parents and you're going to live a little bit longer. Okay.
Plus I think too, a lot of the wisdom of the parents, you know, don't do that, don't go there, probably kept people alive, you know, doing silly things.
Yeah.
Contributes to early death, I think.
Those sayings that we're going to talk about here in a little bit, like, I don't know, my mom didn't really ever say this one to me, but if your friend jumps off a cliff, are you going to jump off too? You know, sometimes your kids just need those reminders to don't do something stupid. All right. But Proverbs is a great book, and we're going to look at several verses today in Proverbs that gives us some good wisdom. And I encourage teens all the time, you want a good challenge for just getting into your Bible for a month, read a Proverbs a day, do it for several months in a row, really just glean some of the little bits of wisdom from that. But it says in Proverbs chapter 1, verse 8 and 9, my son, hear the instruction of thy father, and forsake not the law or the teaching of thy mother, for they shall be an ornament of grace upon or unto thy head, and chains about thy neck. Okay. Now you hear that verse, and the part of it that might catch you off guard is, wait a second, chains about my neck. Now that kind of sounds like a burden, you know, like something's weighing me down. And sometimes as teenagers, we deal with a teenager now, just, you know, in our own household, they probably feel like mom and dad sometimes can just kind of weigh them down with the responsibilities or the guilt trips or the chores, whatever it is you want to name it. But really in this passage, it's not talking about being weighed down like oppression. It's talking about this idea of adorning yourself, almost like if you had gold chains, you know. And if you were walking down the street and you saw someone that was decked out with a bunch of gold chains around their neck, you'd probably think, wow, you know, they've got money, you know, they're well off, you know, they take care of themselves. I don't know, some people wear a lot of bling these days.
Successful.
And they're successful. And so that's kind of the idea of this passage here, is that, you know, when
back in our day, it was Mr. T.
Mr. T, yeah, you don't want to mess with him. So when you follow the advice of your mom and your dad, you're going to be marked differently than the standard rebellious person that's out there just doing whatever they want to do, regardless of the advice and counsel of their parents. So that being said, this is kind of like our first leader share here. And the question is, what is something you learned from your mom that has been a valuable life lesson? So I've got some answers here, and now I'm going to go to Terry and Sherry after I read Tanner and Shelby's answer to this question. Something you've learned from your mom that has been a valuable life lesson. Tanner's very short and to the point, and his was be polite. You know, that was his life lesson from his mom, which, you know, sometimes it's hard to be polite in certain circumstances, especially when people are being rude to you, but it's always good to aim high. Shelby's was have the humility to be able to apologize to your kids. And so I can appreciate that, because I think at times kids feel like they get the shaft, and it's good to hear mom and dad come back and say, I handled that wrongly. So I'm sorry, you know, I had a bad attitude, bad temper. So what about you guys, Terry, Sherry? What's advice or something you got from your mom that that's been a valuable life lesson?
I remember just growing up, my mom really instilled in us that if somebody had done something really immoral, very wrong, and everybody was just, you know, talking bad about the person, I can't believe they did that, they're just such an awful person. And my mom would always say that we should not be too harsh with somebody that had done something that, you know, wrong. She said, we never know what that person's life was like or what they've been through. We don't know what caused them to make such poor decisions, and that we should, you know, be more compassionate about it. And I just always love that example.
Yeah, it's good.
Well, my mom really never had to talk, but she showed me a lot. And my mom showed me endurance. She was a divorced and single mom, trying to keep the family farm, and just showed me the work ethic that you need to just endure, and you'll always come out ahead. And so she always taught me endurance, and she always told me, to be a hard worker.
Very good.
Good.
All
And you
right.
pass that down to our kids.
Yeah. You have. So what about you, Nicole?
Something I learned from my mother. I remember she would the best advice, practical advice my mom ever gave me. It's nothing spiritual or anything, but she always told me that you should keep your front room picked up, because you'll never know who's going to drop by, and that's what they will see when they come to the door.
It's true.
So she said, start from your front door and work your way into the house, and leave the bedroom for last, but always do the living room, kitchen, and bathroom, because you never know who will drop by. And so I really try and do that to this day in my own house. Not that, yeah.
Come on, turn the computer around. Let's take a look.
It's clean. I would.
It is. She spent all day today cleaning.
No, she didn't. Not up here anyway.
So my mom, probably the most valuable lesson that I learned from her that she really helped me with as a young teen was just not letting my temper get the best of me, because I had a temper when it came to my siblings, just really, easy to get provoked and lashing back out, whether I said something or physically, took matters in my own hands. And then also just with other people too, just people let you down, people say mean things. Yeah, I got into some playground fights as a kid, and wasn't very good at restraining myself. And I was emotional. I'd have times where I would just, in a fit of rage, go to my room and pick up my pillow and just scream as loud as I could into my pillow, because of just being, frustrated or whatever circumstances. And my mom, I just remember her sitting me down one time and just really from her heart telling me that she was concerned for my future, because if I didn't get a hold of my temper, that I was going to end up being an abusive husband and father. And when I thought about that and about what I wanted to be, and just listen to the path that she said that I was on, it kind of just scared me enough to make me say, I don't want that to be true. I want to change that about myself. So that's probably the best thing I think I got from my mom as far as a life lesson. A couple other things here. Brent shared, he said, don't listen to people who say you can't do something, do it anyway. So good advice about not quitting, pushing through the naysayers sometimes. And then Rachel's, she put, my valuable life lesson from my mom had been the good part of her parenting. The good side of parenting has taught me how to be a caring mother to my children. All right. So a couple cool things that they were able to share with us without being able to be part of the video. So let's look kind of real quick what the Bible says maybe a parent or a mom's job is, because this is also something that sometimes as our parents are teaching us these valuable life lessons, we don't always receive them well. And so in Proverbs 22:6, it says, train up a child in the way he should go, and when he is old, he will not depart from it. And so a parent and a mom's job is really to train us up and to bring us up in the way that they feel like is best for us. And all of our parents, probably we could note different things that they were really good about, either teaching us, manners, teaching us how to respect our authorities, and just things like that in our life. Maybe experiences that they had in their life kind of made them think, you know what, I really want my kids to be this kind of way. So they kind of put sometimes so much effort into a few things that they really want to see us do better. But I put, something that our parents should do, our moms should do for us. And I put discipline, crack the whip. All right. Well, sometimes that's necessary. We don't always like it when they come down on us. But really in my heart, I felt really most moms' greatest desire is to put their children on a path that leads to success in life. They want us to live right. So is that something that you moms would agree with, that you just want your children to have a successful life?
And that doesn't necessarily look the same to everybody. I know something preacher says a lot from the pulpit is if you have raised your children and they, you know, have accepted the Lord and are living and are in church and living godly lives, then you have accomplished much.
You've been successful.
You've been successful as a parent, and that's very encouraging, because I think we all have desires in other ways for our kids, whether it's through, you know, successful in work and relationships, but ultimately I think if they get that spiritual root, you know, that will help them succeed in other areas.
Yeah,
That's the most important, the foundation.
definitely. So, you know, again, our parents, you know, sometimes they want what they want better for us than what they had for themselves. Sometimes they can look and see how they were brought up and things that they didn't like about how their parents took care of certain situations or matters. And so that kind of shapes a little bit of how a mom or a dad parents. But again, they want us to live right. So along with that, moms can be pretty good about coming up with these sayings that they have that really just kind of stick with us. I know the preacher, he shares things all the time from the pulpit that, you know, that his mom told him that stick with him. And I wrote this one down in my notes. I thought it was worthwhile, but Terry and I are going to answer this question. What is a saying your mom often used, either funny or serious, that you will never forget? And so I wrote down the one I hear preachers say a lot is, a self-brag is a half scoundrel. Okay, just sounds like one of those weird things. Like, what does that mean? It's not too hard to understand it, but someone who brags and boasts about themselves really might not be someone that you can trust. They're always trying to make themselves look good. So maybe by trying to make themselves look good, they're really hiding some flaws, you know? And so, Terry, what do you think? What's something you got a saying that your mom, you know, drilled into you?
I really couldn't think of anything when I was younger. It's just when older and all now, when me and mom talk, and depending on, you know, what's going on in the family and all that, mom just always says, you know, God's in control.
Yeah.
And I mean, I'm not trying to say that my mom's raised us biblically all the way up and stuff, you know. I'm just saying that's just, as she grew in the Lord, as she got older in life, she started telling us that.
Yeah, she got that part right. God is in control. So it helps us take our eyes off of the difficult circumstance right in front of us to believe that, you know, something better is coming. I kind of had one that's funny. I'll share Tanner's and Brent's. They're both kind of up my alley. I heard these kind of things too. Tanner said his mom would often say, "I'm not your maid." Okay, so comes a certain point in time where you have to pick up after yourself. You know, mom's not always going to be there to do it for you. So that's good, sound advice from mom. And I also heard this one. I texted Brent back. I thought this was funny. Brent's quote was, "Brent, go to your room and wait for your father to get home." So I definitely heard that one. And about that time was when I would turn around and say, "No, mom, here's a spanking paddle. You do it. I don't want to wait for dad to get home." But
You always had the one, your mother always said, "Do you want something to cry about?"
yeah.
Oh, was that yours? I'm sorry.
Well, yeah, that's
something to cry about.
I'll give you something to cry about. Yeah. Mine was something, and I thought it was kind of funny, and I kind of had a teenage sarcastic remark when my mom would say this, but it did cause me to reflect and think about what I was doing. My mom would say to me when she got to her limit, "Hey, you're walking on thin ice," you know? And you know, when I was kind of feeling a little antagonistic, I would say, "How thin is it?" You know, and then she'd probably,
Man, I would have never gotten away with that.
yeah, then she'd look for something to pick up and throw at me. But you know,
Yeah, you sank, didn't you?
yeah, I think I fell right
You
through it.
cracked that ice and plunged.
So
my mom always said, when the head is dumb, the body suffers.
yeah,
Oh, that's good.
And I think that's something her mom would always say to her.
yeah. So yeah, moms have these different things. Some of them are passed down from their parents, and they say it, and you're like, "What?" And they have to kind of explain that that's something their parents said. And sometimes they come up with it on their own. These life mottos that you take with you. So I think bottom line is this: when it comes to moms and their kids, is that moms want to be proud of us. They really, you know, they're not necessarily looking for the Mom of the Year award. they're not necessarily, I mean, some parents do feel like their kids are an extension of them. And so what people say and think of their kids is what they think of them. But, you know, you obviously don't want your kid to be the one that's the embarrassment. But really, moms want to be proud of us. And so teenagers today, what I'm asking you to consider this morning is, what are you doing to make your mom proud? You know, instead of always being worried about, you know, being a disappointment and just always feeling like mom is just there to tell you no and, you know, take away the fun. Think about, you know, not just for Mother's Day, it is Mother's Day, but just think about, you know, what are you doing with your life where you're really trying to make your mom proud? Proverbs 23, I said I have a lot of Proverbs passages today, so there's one more, but Proverbs 23 and verse 25 says, thy father and thy mother shall be glad, and she that bare thee shall rejoice. And so that idea is that we should be doing things in our life, not just to honor our parents, but to bring them joy. Because of nothing else, of all the sacrifices that they've made for us, you know, all the things they've had to do for us to just provide for our needs, we should be looking for ways, you know, we can't necessarily pay them back unless it comes to like a day and age when we actually do have to take care of them because their retirement isn't paying them what they need for survival and stuff. But most of us will never be able to pay back our parents for the things they've done for us as kids and even beyond our you know, our childhood years. So do what we can to bring your parents joy. Do what you can to make your parent proud of you. And so along with that, I have one more share here for the ladies. So here's something to share about, ladies. What is your favorite mom memory? Either one made with your mom or one you have as a mom. Okay, I've got Shelby's right here. My wife just pointed out that. Okay, I like Shelby's. Sorry, this one kind of sets the bar high. I'm just going to say it right there. But hers is a little long. She said, when I was in Bowling Green for college, my mom would come down and visit, and it would just be her and me. As the third child, and I'm not complaining here, but I never got true alone time with my mama. It at least felt that way. So when she'd come to visit, we would have a whole weekend to just hang out, and I loved that so much. I'll always remember those weekends with her. So
Aw,
that is a nice
so sweet.
memory to have with your mom. So what about you, ladies? What's
My favorite memory of being a mom, I'll share that. I know it's probably cliche, but just the first time I set eyes on my daughter after she was born, they put her in my arms, and it makes me cry whenever I think about it. I mean, I love you. You're my husband. I love you dearly. I love other people. I love my parents. I loved my grandparents. But we had tried so hard to have a child, and it didn't happen for such a long time. And finally, I felt like Hannah. Finally, God blessed us with this beautiful baby. And when they put her in my arms, it's like, Sherry, you know what I'm trying to explain. It's like my chest couldn't contain the emotion. Like I thought I was going to die from happiness, and I was so happy.
Yeah.
That's my favorite memory.
It's cool.
Yeah. Sorry.
You think motherhood's overrated until it happens to you.
I've heard that it's both a feeling of like intense joy and happiness, but also like, I will die for this child. Don't even mess with her. I'm gonna, you know.
Yeah, I said that too.
Yeah.
It was a very strange
connection.
mix of love, and I remember almost within the same moment, maybe just a few minutes later, looking at her and thinking and being dead serious, looking at her and knowing in my heart, if someone ever hurt her, I would kill them. I mean, it scared me, that feeling. I was like, you know, oh my goodness.
That mama bear instinct.
I just had that thought, and it was real, and it was very weird. And it doesn't go away.
Yeah. All right, Sherry, you had a good memory that you had being a mom.
I did. I'm going to change it to another one of being a mom. When the girls were little, we were so poor, and I came home from work one day. It was my birthday, and they had made me a surprise birthday party with them. It was so funny to see all that they had worked so hard and put up these awful decorations. I mean, it's just paper this and stuff that they made, you know, and hanging from the chandelier or whatever. And I mean, just, and they were so proud, you know, because they had worked so hard. And they're like, surprise. And it was just the two of them and me for this surprise birthday party. And it was just the sweetest thing that they thought of me and wanted to do that. My birthday's in January, so you can't really do much of anything in January anyway. It's so cold and yucky outside. And I'm sure they got me some kind of little gift. I don't know, but they were just so proud, and it was just really just a very sweet memory.
That's cool. I like that one. I like the one you shared with me too about, you know, turning on music to do chores on the weekend or on Saturday and just having a good time.
Saturday was house cleaning day, and
Make the best of it.
and yeah, so and of course, who likes to clean house? We all hated to clean house, so we would have our designated areas to clean, and I would turn on some really fun music, and whenever a really good song would come on, I'd say dance break, and we'd turn it up and we'd stop what we're doing and go and dance and then get back to business, and it was just fun.
Yeah. Rachel's was something, you know, almost kind of along the lines of that when it comes to, you know, music. She said, my memories of my mom were taking long drives and listening to classic music while driving with the windows down. So, you know, you do remember that as a kid. You do love those opportunities where your mom can kind of just cut loose with you and just, you know, put all the cares aside, you know, dance, sing, scream, whatever. So, so we're kind of wrapping things up here with our lesson. And one of the things I wanted to highlight, my wife's going to read a passage from Proverbs 31 here in just a minute, but I wanted to ask you teens, you know, I asked you, you know, are you trying to make your mom proud? What are you trying to do in your life to make your mom proud? Here's another thing that just kind of goes hand in hand with that. Have you thanked your mom lately? You know, just take a moment to think about, you know, the daily, the weekly things they've done for you, some that are maybe just huge in your mind that they've done for you over the years. And even if it's something you've already thanked them for, you know, thank them again. Just let them know that you still have that memory. You still have that good feeling in your heart of, you know, what it meant for you when they did something for you, and let them know you appreciate them. So here's a passage that talks about that virtuous woman that Proverbs 31 describes, and the fact that, it, you know, what are we supposed to do as children of the mom who's making those sacrifices for us?
Okay, it says, starting in verse 25, strength and honor are her clothing, and she shall rejoice in time to come. She openeth her mouth with wisdom, and in her tongue is the law of kindness. She looketh well to the ways of her household, and eateth not the bread of idleness. Her children arise up and call her blessed. Her husband also, and he praiseth her. Many daughters have done virtuously, but thou excellest them all.
All right, so that verse in 28, her children arise up and call her blessed. And so, you know, we need to do that for our moms. Sometimes they're having bad days just like we have bad days. And we need to make sure that mom isn't the only one doing the encouraging in the home, that she needs to have her spirits lifted as well. And so there's one final thought here. This is taking us away from Proverbs and away from some of these words of wisdom, just a very simple illustration here from the life of Christ. But here's the final thought. This is Jesus, and he's up on the cross. Okay, his time has come. He's given his life, or about to, you know, give it all for us. And these are one of the things that he said while he was up on the cross. John 19, verse 26 and 27. When Jesus therefore saw his mother and the disciples standing by whom he loved, he's talking about John there, he saith unto his mother, Woman, behold thy son. So he was basically saying, you know, I can't do it for you anymore, Mom. This is your son now. And he was talking to John and his mom. Then he saith he to the disciple, Behold thy mother. And from that hour, that disciple took her unto his own home. So it's just a reminder of, you know, obviously we all know what Jesus did for us on the cross, the sacrifice that he gave, you know, dying for our sin. But in the moment of compassion there at the very end, while he himself was suffering, he knew the pain that was going on with his mom, just the fact that she had to see him up on that cross, let alone the fact that at this point in time in his life, his dad had probably already passed on. And so he was the provider. He was the one taking care of his mom's needs. And it's not just teenagers, it's not just about our needs. We can be so selfish and self-centered sometimes, just thinking about what have you done for me lately? And I didn't get what I wanted and all that kind of things. We have to remember that we need to make sure that our mom's needs are being met too. And just like Jesus was making sure that, hey, John, I want you to take care of my mom in my absence. We have to think about the things that God wants us to do for our parents, our moms, not just to make them feel special, but to look out for them. And I just want to challenge you with that thought this morning about this idea of, what are you doing to make your mom proud? What have you said lately to let your mom know that you're thankful for her? And as you become an older, not just a teen, but a young adult, you're going to need to step up and say, hey, you know what, Mom, you've done so much for me. I'm going to look out for you now and try to do what I can to help you. So I think that's some good advice. What do you guys think?
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Yeah, because you guys are a little bit on the other side of the coin from us. Your children have grown and they're having their own kids now, and you're getting to see, maybe some of the rebellious times that they might have had. Ain't so bad. They've learned something. They're doing good. They're trying to be good parents, just like we're trying to be good parents. So
I can remember back when my kids were little, and for them to appreciate something, just to, let me know that they appreciated something that I had done. That just really meant so much. That really did.
cool. All right. Well, we won't be too long-winded here. I'm going to have Terry close out in prayer, but I do want to say this. If you're watching this morning, don't forget to tune in tonight to our, I would say, special Mother's Day edition Zoom, although we kind of had our family night. We had a lot of fun with the scavenger hunt last week. But I've got this little game. It's called Box of Lies. I got it from Jimmy Fallon.
I love this game.
But it's not necessarily that you have to lie in order for it to work. So basically what your challenge is that you have to find something that you're going to bring with you to the meeting tonight, but that you're not going to show everyone, okay? And we're going to take turns, and everyone has to take a turn. Basically, you can either describe a really abstract, weird item without showing everybody. You can describe it accurately, but maybe it'll sound so bizarre that they're like, no, I don't believe that's real. You're making that up. Or you can try to be really, really descriptive about something and actually be lying about it. Like, talking about, well, this is this big and it's got this color on it and all that kind of stuff. So everybody's going to have an opportunity to share, either sharing the truth about something that might be really strange or making something up about something that's not really there. And then you'll be able to show everyone, hold it up, whatever it is you're going to show them. And then before you do that, though, people will either vote. They'll either go thumbs up, you're telling the truth, or they say thumbs down, they think you're lying. And depending on, how many you get correct, we'll have a winner for that game tonight, and we'll just have a good time. We're doing a great job with fundraising. I suspect by tomorrow night we'll be over $6,000 because we're almost there right now with our fundraiser for camp. So that's awesome. So Terry, go ahead and close us out in a word of prayer.
Heavenly Father, we thanks you for letting us to come to you, Lord, through these unprecedented times, Lord, and Lord, through these videos, Lord, I pray that the young people are tuning in. I pray that they're listening, Lord. Lord, I just pray that they would put their Game Boys or their arcades down, Lord, and just give you your time that you deserve on Sundays for you, Lord. And Lord, I just ask that you'd be with the mothers out there. Lord, I thank you for my mom and what she's done for me and what she's taught me in life. And Lord, I just ask that you'd be with them all. And just pray for the ones who can't, may not be able to visit their mom due to whatever circumstances, distance, or this virus. But Lord, I just ask that somehow we can just always make sure that we tell our mothers how grateful we are. Lord, we just ask that you'd be with us with our Sunday school class and our youth. And we just ask these things in Jesus' name. Amen.
Amen. All right. Well, thanks for joining us for Sunday school, Terry and Sherry. And y'all have an awesome week. We'll see you next time. Bye.
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 All right. I stopped recording.
Yeah, you haven't.